Hello, hello. This is Joanne. Welcome to our podcast, episode 13, October 1st, as we record.
I know.
I'm here with Sujun. And what's up?
Hey, Joanne. Not much, except for a lot of work. I think sounds like you did have a busy week as well. But I do have some updates. So excited to be here and talk about it.
Oh, perfect. Well, let's jump straight into it. We're going to just tackle
Hey,
this.
well,
Tell us.
so I think the last week I said I wanted to continue to write. If
Right.
not every day, which I didn't do every day, at least be mindful of trying to set aside some time to write. And the idea of it is try to have an opportunity to think about what I've overlooked in the busyness of daily life. And the idea is these writing becomes logical and has a story. I would like to put it up on my blog post. So
Right.
that's the premise. So while I was writing and going through the week, something came up and makes me think that I want to talk about giving and receiving feedback this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And how did
and
you,
it's
are you just talking about just in general
um
feedback or like specifically with what you're doing?
I want to debunk a myth.
Yeah, what is this myth?
Yeah, so have you heard of sandwich method for giving feedback, Joanne?
Yeah, we hear it a lot.
Okay, what do you think? What's your view of the sandwich method?
Uh, honestly don't know. I mean, I feel like I haven't really paid attention to whether giving positive in between or before and after a negative
Yeah.
helps. I mean, I guess it softens the blow, but if the negative feedback is uh pretty poignant or if it feels pretty personal, it doesn't matter how much positive feedback you put in there. That's all you're gonna
Yeah.
remember. So I think it's, for me, maybe the way people provide feedback and just the whole context around it. So I don't know. I don't particularly have an opinion
Mm-hmm.
actually about the
Okay.
sandwich method.
So I'm just wondering, has anyone done that to you when they give you feedback? They use the sandwich method. Have
I
you
think so.
experienced it?
Yeah, I
Ah,
think naturally
really?
people tend to do that. Yeah. Like they always start with like, "Oh, hey, you've been doing great." But, that's kind of like where
I
that
mean,
sentence even comes from. It's like you're doing something good, but this, oh, but don't worry, we recognize this. So it's almost like, I know it's like a quote unquote method, but it's almost like it's just what people do.
I
Um,
see.
I don't think I have many people who are like, "All right, like negatives first and then just positives," or
I see
um
what you mean.
yeah, or just positive negative without like a closing slight positive. So I think from at least what I've experienced, people, and maybe I do too actually, yeah, I would say I would naturally do that as well. I don't know if it's a good thing or not. I wonder, is there a
Mm-hmm.
better way?
I see. I mean, I would like to think that there's always room for improvement for most things, if not everything. And if it's just positive, if someone starts with positive and then give you the negative feedback,
Mm-hmm.
what is that? That's no longer a sandwich. Is it an open face sandwich?
Yeah, these are popular these days. Less carbs.
Right, right. That's funny.
I mean,
Yeah, I actually have some. I have experienced the sandwich, the receiving end on the receiving end of the sandwich method feedback.
yeah.
But one particularly stood out to me that it was sort of the person was trying very hard to use the textbook style
Uh-huh.
sandwich method, and you can see there's actually a lack of transition, so you can see the positive, the negative, and then the positive. And honestly, I want to say that let's forget about a sandwich method, unless it works for you. But for most people, forget about a sandwich method. It's very artificial, and honestly, when I was on the receiving end, it was a little bit of a turn off.
Would you say it has more to do with how they were just not very suave in giving feedback? That it sounded so technical and
Yes,
not genuine,
yes.
and not so much maybe the method, but it sounds like they were trying to.
Hmm.
They probably learned this in some kind of class, and they're like, okay, I need to do this, this, and this. But maybe was it a genuine feedback? So you're just like, what the
Yeah,
hell is
and
this?
it could be genuine, but I think there are a few things. One is besides genuine, I think you hit it on the nail on the head for sure. But another thing to consider is everyone's awkward when we're trying to give feedback because everyone becomes this either someone is too harsh and then that is
Hmm.
a different problem and
Right.
someone just did not regard, like disregard your feelings, that's a different problem.
Yeah.
But I think most people are just, as you said, a little bit awkward and think about giving feedback as this really high mountain to climb, right?
Yeah.
So the reason why I'm thinking a lot about it is I have been told to give more feedback to my colleagues at work, and
Huh.
I felt like I have been giving feedback.
Okay.
I, but it's funny that I was told to do more. I guess they asked for it and they will get it.
Now, are
But
these people um that they want feedback from you on themselves, or is it someone else telling you
I
to give
don't.
feedback on someone
So
else?
I think that's from my boss generally speaking giving feedback. But I don't know if it's particularly for someone or not.
Oh, I see. I see.
To answer your question directly, but let me tell you what I think about giving feedback. I think that we should reframe it. Let's forget about sandwich method, forget about receiving and giving feedback. Just think about how you want to help someone. If you see a better way for someone to do something, then we should just focus on that. And I always ask, how do I be less awkward
Yeah.
when I give feedback? That is the key, right?
Right.
As you mentioned, Joanne, I think you also hit the next point, which is it really doesn't matter what you say. It's whether the method is right or not. But if you say it awkwardly, when you feel like it's not genuine from your heart, that
Yeah.
comes across.
I also find
So I
that
think, mm,
like there are these awkward situations where it becomes so official. It's like you get called into the principal's room, and they give you feedback, but regardless of whether it's huge feedback or minor feedback, it almost just given that whole situation and the context of getting called in and making this an official like type of thing
mhm, yeah,
makes it already it sets I don't know, it sets the whole situation up for someone to get defensive. And I definitely feel that way. It's almost like when someone says, "Oh, no defense," but you've already set up the whole
yeah,
situation for me to be
right,
defensive. So
right,
for me
right.
personally, I do better when someone, I don't know, we're just like casually working and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, oh just try to be on time," like a quick little statement, like something like that. Um, obviously if the magnitude of like what I need feedback on, or if it's something like really really bad, like oh my gosh, like I don't know, like a really bad case is like oh my gosh, there's a sexual harassment case going on, then yes, sit down, because it is that important. But like other smaller feedback, I feel like sometimes get blown out of proportion. And does get awkward. I would definitely agree it does get awkward.
Mm-hmm. I think the most, I guess, most fundamental thing, which is also hard to do, is to get rid of the awkwardness. And
Yeah.
to not be awkward is when you need to be genuine. And genuine, I find, without judgment.
Yeah.
You can't judge it as good or bad. You can have to take that away and just focus on helping the person understand how to do something differently. Not even better, just differently.
Right.
And also when you before you give the feedback, before you tell someone something like that, person also needs to be receptive to it. And if the person clearly is not receptive, don't do it, because it's gonna negatively impact conversation, the relationship. It's gonna be going from okay to bad, or bad to worse, that you don't want.
Right.
I think, right, and I think that non-judgmental suggestion. That's how I want to reframe it.
Yeah, I think yeah, that's definitely the core is if everyone is genuine and truly wants to help each other and kind of works as like a team setting, I think that
Mm-hmm.
whole like, oh, my feelings or my needs becomes less of an issue within the team that people have to deal with. Like I think I was listening to one podcast and they were talking about how when they hire somebody, they drag out the hiring process because it filters out people who are way too enthusiastic but doesn't follow through, but who's also just kind of in it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like one quite like quality they look for is like, are you doing this for the team? And I'm sure there's like some subtle characteristics that you can find in people that show that. But yeah, I think that if that's also that can help with giving better feedback for people. I think it's tough. Yeah, we kind of like talk about this issues of like who's a good manager, and there's often a lot of bad managers. There's often good ones too, but it's do they get training for these things? I don't know. And do you need to get
Maybe
training, or is
not.
this a character trait?
Yeah, I think most people don't get training before they become a manager. Even when they are a manager, they don't get training. And
Yeah,
when there's training, how good or how effective is the training? Because this
right.
is a kind of a difficult thing to teach.
It really is. You're kind of not just developing like skills, but it's also I think it's more of like a developing different ways of looking at a problem or how to manage somebody. And I guess that is a skill,
Yeah,
but also I think it does
yeah,
require some change within your own self to know how to be a better
absolutely.
manager. Yeah, so it is personal development too. And we all know that takes a while to develop. Some people are naturally fit for it, and others just may take a little bit longer to develop those traits.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And not a lot of people take the time or stop and take the time to develop themselves. So that's going to be tough. How about receiving feedback, Joanne? When people give you feedback,
yeah.
what do you do with it?
As a receiver, what do I do with their feedback? Is that the question?
Yeah, typically, yeah.
Hmm. I guess it depends on the feedback and who's giving it. I mean, a huge portion of that is it has okay. Hmm.
All right, let me tell you what I think while you think
Yes,
about your
okay.
response. I really think that the feedback that you receive, you need to filter it in the right context. A lot of the times, people give you feedback, it's like a gift, it's from good intention,
Right.
we hope, but it doesn't always fit your needs. And I have made the mistake of taking people's feedback and implement it without really considering the context. And it might seem like, oh, this person's smart and
Mhm.
she has my best interest. So she said this, so I should try to do this. But a lot of the times I feel like I have not really considered a lot of the issues, and end up implementing something that I should not. So I think that
Yeah.
most of the feedback, you take it, you need to definitely digest it before you can know whether or not you want to implement it. And feedback when you receive feedback that is not quite right for you, I don't know about other people, but sometimes, I observe among my colleagues too, or friends and people around me.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's hard to ignore it, but know that ignoring, oh, receive and say thank you and not implementing it could be an option. It doesn't have to be all implemented.
Right. No, absolutely. I think there's also like different types of feedback that you get. If it's like more of a, I don't know, like a professional mannerism thing that they're giving you feedback on, it's like, oh, okay, I'll try to, I don't know, act more professional or stay on time or stuff like that, versus
Mhm.
feedback on a PowerPoint that I made or a project where it's a differing opinion, or is it something
Yeah.
because that they know more about a certain situation? But I think in those specific situations, yeah, for sure, I think you have to be able to recognize like this person saying it this, I don't know what that is, so I'm gonna try to dig in more, or I
Mhm.
already know what they're talking about, but I've already considered that and I've decided that's not what I'm aiming for in this project. So yeah, absolutely. I think you definitely have to be an independent thinker with the feedback that you get. If anything, I would think that most people have a hard time accepting feedback as opposed to just blindly taking
Yes,
it. At least
that's actually
personally for
true
me.
too. Yeah, there's that as well. That's true. Sometimes it's hard to say, hard to hear, right?
Right.
Um,
It's tough. I
yeah.
mean, my ego definitely gets bruised, and the initial reaction is just like, what are you talking? You don't know what you're talking about. Like how dare you say this? Because it also, when that person gives you feedback, you naturally start judging their character because that's what they're doing about you, or judging their work because that's what they're judging on you.
I see.
And then it becomes like a, well, I don't know if I can respect your feedback because. So it does get pretty ugly, and I'm very hot-headed with
Yeah.
that. But
Uh-huh.
I think when it comes to more like simple like professionalism stuff, I think that's for me at least easier to take on. If someone's like, oh yeah, just try to get your numbers up or whatever, I'd be like, okay, yeah, sure. I mean, that's like a, it's just one of those things that they're like, yeah, I have to tell you this, so therefore I'll work on it, sure.
Hmm. I think that judgment came up again.
Hmm.
Non-judgment, not judgmental, not just for someone else, for ourselves too. It seems after hearing what you said.
Say again? Like
Does that make sense?
judgmental.
Yeah. So in order to not be awkward and not feel bad about it, is take away the judgment, and then it becomes powerless
Like in their feedback.
in receiving feedback as well.
Yeah.
As you said, when you judge saying that, oh yeah, say someone said I dress badly,
Oh my
take for
gosh.
example, right? And then I'm like, what do you say? Is that what you think about me? Like that can go. I mean, I'm just
Yeah, I
giving
mean,
you a.
hey, easier said than done. The initial reaction of someone judging you is to
Mhm.
judge them back. But I think it's the how quickly you can just kind of get over and be like, all right, whatever. You know, this is their intent. I understand it. Um, yeah, that's kind of like my approach usually. And honestly, I don't think I've gotten really bad feedback that often. I think it was like once or twice where I'm just like, what the hell? They have no qualifications to give me any feedback. Um,
Mhm.
but
I see.
yeah,
Understand. It's like minority, and you really, it's like really cause you to feel really defensive. That's a minority kind of an event. Is that right?
right. I mean, they're definitely, yeah. That's only happened like maybe once that I can think about, or twice. But yeah,
But
that's
that's
definitely a
good.
bad
Well, that's
situation.
good.
Right, right.
Yeah. Cool. So that's what I have this past
Nice.
week.
So, were you writing this up, or
I was writing some drafts of it.
Oh,
It
nice.
doesn't
Okay.
look like a good post yet, but
Interesting topic, though.
that's what I yeah, that's what I do. I have whenever I have thoughts about some ideas, I would
Hmm.
draft it up, and it's so easy nowadays. I can do it on my phone. I
Yeah.
used to do it on a bus, yeah, and when it's funny how little, I call it the gap time, adds up to a full post. It might take me, a month or two or
Right.
more. Um, but when I just put in a little bit of time to write at every time I can, or to come to think that when it's on my mind, then It's funny how it's like building a house one brick at a time. I put one brick on and I go do something else and I come and do another brick,
Right.
and eventually there is a house. So I won't have anything for you to read, Joanne, but this is my process essentially.
Nice. That's
And I'm not in a hurry.
yeah. I look forward to when you've had your final article. That would be a good read. Awesome. Yeah. I really didn't do much this past week, so your topic is much more interesting because my brain has not been at that space from moving and also trying to pack and plan this trip that I'm going on next week to Moab. So I can think of anything. My goal for next week will just be to enjoy this trip and not think about anything. I mean, enjoy nature,
That's great.
yeah,
Yeah,
outdoors, and just having that escapism just away from everything. Honestly, I think everyone deserves like a sabbatical year from their jobs. Just like, I don't know, like some European countries have that, but I think it's really, a, I don't know, I think people just need to step back sometimes and just kind of rethink. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this vacation.
cool. Moab is beautiful.
Yeah, we're gonna go through, actually, um, the Albuquerque Balloon Festival is going on this whole week. So we'll get to see a glimpse of that. And then we're going to Santa Fe. Then Telluride, which I hear is very pretty, and as well as Durango in Colorado. Then to Moab. So it'll be a nice road trip. And there's something about road trips when you're behind the wheel just driving. It kind of it forces you to think and just kind of open your mind. So I have been enjoying these short trips, just driving around.
It's very nice, and nature is healing.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. And I will
Very
try to
nice.
make these little short videos like I try to do with Oregon. It's not going to be as high tech, but since that video, I've realized I'm just going to use Google Photos and there's plenty of apps where they just compile your videos. So much easier. I can literally make a video in like 5 minutes. So I'm gonna be doing that with this trip. So
Nice.
it'll be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, look forward to seeing it. And you probably get to hike a lot as well
Yes.
in Moab.
Yes. Yeah.
Very
This
cool.
trip will all be about hiking, and my friend likes to do a lot of escape rooms, so we'll be doing that on the side.
I
Yeah.
see.
But
I
what is?
guess
Yeah.
hmm?
I'll say what
With
is?
COVID, escape rooms are still open.
Yes. Yes, they are. Yeah, which actually doesn't feel that dangerous because you're in the room without anybody else. So it's a lot of them are opening up.
True.
Yeah.
As long as your friend does not have COVID.
No, I mean, you
Or you
choose
can wear a
your
mask.
friends. No, I trust her. I mean, she trusts herself. She does travel a lot, but she trusts herself too. So, um, yeah, when we're together, we probably won't be wearing a mask. Yeah, so it'll be fun.
Nice. Very cool.
So, what is
Well,
your random question of the day?
yeah, random question. I didn't I didn't prepare a random
Ha!
question.
It's all right. How about this? I already asked that question last time. Your favorite TV show? Darn. Um,
Yeah.
how about this? The
Yeah.
random joy of this past week for you.
And then joy? Did you say joy?
Uh huh.
Wow. That's a nice one.
Yeah.
Joanne, that's a really nice one. Except I need to spend a few seconds thinking about it. So I'm
Okay.
stalling.
I'll tell you about mine.
No. Okay, oh go ahead, go ahead.
Mine's not very sentimental at all, but it's hard to find good TV shows lately just because a lot of the shows lately and movies are very much like you can tell that they're like money making machines and not as unique or creative as much. So I've been watching less and less TV and maybe watching more documentaries or doing other stuff instead. But this past week, my friend and I we finished watching The Squid Game on Netflix. Oh my gosh, that was entertaining. It's been a while since I've seen a good TV show. Recommended.
Okay.
It's kind of like this battle royale type of survival, kind of like Saw, but a little bit oh, definitely a lot better than Saw. Yeah, so that was like my joy of like being able to find a TV show that I can finally binge and always look
Mm.
forward to. And yeah, I finished that
Mm-hmm.
in like 2 days. So that was
Wow.
a great find. Yeah.
How many episodes?
I think it was like 9.
Oh, that's not too much.
Yeah, it was great too. Cause I think it was made in Korea, and so my friends and my family have all seen it kind of at the same time as I did. So we were able to talk about it, and that's like great when all of your friends and family can watch something at the same time in different places, different times, or different places, and then talk about it later on and be like, oh my gosh, yeah, that episode, what happened here? So that was fun.
Sounds like you had some bonding time with the family over a TV show.
Yeah, it was nice to just talk about something just completely not
Oh yeah,
serious.
yeah, and something that you actually like. I get that.
Yeah.
I haven't found any really good TV shows that like that for myself either. But I asked myself that question, and I think the most joy I've experienced in the last week is during one of the mornings when I'm just gradually waking up. It's still dark before my alarm goes off, and I was able to wake up slowly until the alarm uh, rings much later.
Huh. So waking up
Yes.
before the alarm clock goes off?
Well, the feeling of waking up after a good night's sleep,
Ah, that's
not being woken up by the alarm.
yeah, that's a hard one. That's something I struggle with, especially when I'm working. That's a definitely a good joy. I like that.
Yeah, certainly joyous
Awesome.
moment.
Yeah, I stole your random
Rare,
question,
but
so next time for you for sure.
all right.
All right, I'm gonna let you end.
Okay. This has been an interesting week. Sounds like we both have a busy schedule throughout the week. But I look forward to hearing more about your trip next week. And we will say goodbye now and reconvene in a week. Bye, Joanne.
Bye.